This week, we're on another sailboat. It's a rescue mission.
They pretty much have the worst anchor. I told them, you don't want this anchor. It would have 100% been on the rock.
We continued to make do with no water on board during the worst time. We've diagnosed the problem with our water maker.
Things are looking up. We are now in possession of... Dun, 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 dun.
Let's see if it works.
In our last episode, we shared that our water maker stopped working while cruising the Balearic Islands.
You're done! That's all we can afford!
We're making our way from Minorca to Majorca and heading straight for a marina to refill our water tank. Towards the end of our passage, we noticed something peculiar floating in the water. So naturally, being the curious cats that we are, we're motoring over to it, trying to document the discovery before remembering that our trolling line is still out. Yup, we hooked it real quick. Too bad we couldn't get a better look at it, but we quickly cut it free and did notice on the top side that there was what looked like a date written on it in red marker. Our curiosity definitely got the best of us there. We're like, oh, let's go motor over to it. We're not in a rush. Let's just go see. And then, of course, with the fishing rod out. That's what we caught, tanglement. Luckily, we didn't have to lose a lure because we don't have very many of those left.
Oh, I was going to jump in. Yeah, if I had to go get it. Yeah. Ain't losing any more lures.
We actually see another one floating not too far away, but we learned our lesson from the first one and decided to keep our distance. I don't believe that that was a date, though. I know it looked like a date, but it was saying it was like April or something, 2008, and there's no way it would look so pristine with the red marker facing up in the sun, not faded at all.
Just the branches, like 15 or so years, just...
No way.
It wouldn't have lasted any of the sea states it could have had.
Yeah, so if anybody has seen something like that before or knows what it is, let us know in the comments below. We pretty much motored across from Minorca to Majorca because the weather lied to us again, except for this last, I guess, 5 nautical miles out from the anchorage that we are. We've got enough wind to throw up the head sail. It's getting rained. Look at that.
Clean the sails.
Our plan was to head right into the marina so that we could fill up our water tank. We're just filling up Jibsea right now with diesel, and this is one of those self-service automated fuel docks where you just put your card in a machine and fill. You don't see a water thing here. Travis knew that there's water because he just couldn't remember if it was at the fuel dock or at the slip next to the fuel dock, which it's the latter. So we're gonna try to snag it with a hose here, but it's a different fitting, so I think we got 2 males. We have to get the female connector, right? Hopefully this slinky hose that we got will reach. Even though we've got water now temporarily, we're going to have to try to make it last so we're not constantly going back and forth to fill up. And that's going to be hard with the situation we've got right now.
Show everybody what's driving you crazy here.
The boat just feels so disgusting right now. Because it's not only like outside, it somehow feels like it's just everywhere.
When the red dust blows from the Sahara, it's a dusty and dirty few days while we're being blanketed in it.
And I got no water. Oh, I guess we could go to the marina, but unhappy.
This might be a little bit loud because we have the generator running, waiting for our boat to charge a little bit because there's been no solar. It's been super cloudy and rainy. And we noticed that a boat that was nearby to us had dragged a lot over the course of the morning. This bay, been here a couple of times before, and the holding is good, but it's not the greatest. It's like a silty, weedy sort of ground, and it's not very deep. It's only about 6 to 8 feet. We do notice that on the first try, we normally foul our anchor, drag a little bit, and we'll have to re-anchor to really dig ourselves in. And we knew that there was another couple in this bay who have been on their boat for the past few days that we've been here. Travis was sitting out in the cockpit and noticed that their boat was dragging slowly, and there's just a shelf of rocks behind them.
The sailboat was anchored right there and dragged all the way back behind those 2 catamarans that are rafted together. You see that mast peeking between them? That's it there.
It looked like she was the only one on board at the time. And she had finally come up to peek her head out, but wasn't really doing anything about it. Like wasn't, starting up the engine, going to the bow to lift the anchor, re-anchor, any of that. So we figured she might have been on board by herself because we hadn't seen him all morning. And then the next thing we knew, she was getting in her dinghy, slowly putting across the bay, I guess, to pick up her partner who may have been on land, like at the beach or something like that. But we saw that it was taking her forever to putt along. Like she must have had one of those 3 horsepower dinghies or something. And in the midst of her slowly putting along, a gust came through and they continued to drag even more, and they were getting really close to the rocks. So Travis got in the dinghy quickly because he knew that our dinghy was going to be a lot quicker than theirs, and then ripped over to the beach to go pick him up because he knew that he would be faster in picking them up than she would be.
When they got back to the boat, they leapt on board, and you could see Travis is at the bow there picking up their anchor and chain.
We've had our own drag happen before, back in Puerto Rico, pretty badly. We've seen other boats in the Caribbean drag as well, and we hopped on board to help re-anchor those boats because it's just never a nice thing to see when you see a boat drifting off.
Their sailboat was about 60 feet from the rock bank when Travis and the owner made it back. As they pass by Jibsea to re-anchor, you can see the girl in their dinghy is still slowly only making her way back.
She didn't notice the boat was dragging.
So she just got off.
And then he was just sitting over there and they're looking at me like, what's this guy doing? I'm like, get on my dinghy right now if you don't want your boat in the rocks. He's like, what? And he's like, really? So he jumped on real quick.
Okay, yeah, I was looking at all the people on shore and they were just watching.
Oh, everyone's watching like, oh, here it comes. Thank God we got to it.
I thought she was putting over to him to go get him.
No, he asked her, he's like, you didn't notice? And she's like, no, I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
That could have been bad.
Yeah.
Because that would have been like in just the nick of time we went to pick him up. And then they would have been like, coming back to the boat and him going, that doesn't look right. Because it would have 100% been on the rocks.
Oh yeah. And with the 2 of them, it would have taken them a lot longer to get back.
Oh yeah, they would have been putting back, watching their boat on the rocks. It would have been absolute nightmare. So we're going to go over and have dinner with them tonight. They caught some tuna, so we'll go over and... Man, I'm all like, because it's so close. Like, that was seriously close. Like, I thought they were fine. Because I was like, all right, she's not moving. And then there was a big gust, and then you watch the boat just move 20 feet.
Yeah, it was blowing. Like, it continued going.
Yeah, but they also had a shank anchor. They pretty much have the worst anchor. I told him, you don't want this anchor. He's like, what do you have? And I was like, we have a rock nut. It's like kind of the anchor you want. A rock nut or an ultra. They're the best. Ultra, please sponsor us. I really want an ultra, but I can't afford it.
Shiny jewel of a gem on our bow.
They're fancy, but they're also extremely well designed.
Yeah, they had like that, but probably maybe a 10 or 15 kilo. Like worst anchor ever.
We continue to search for a fitting dinghy oar to replace the one that fell overboard a year and a half ago.
So we were hopeful of this guy because it has the little connector piece that we would need in the right spot, but it falls short.
Which would be fine, but that's where it clips onto the boat. Unless I shave that down, which I don't really want to.
And it's shorter. We would have to buy 2 and then...
And these ones don't have any holes. We'll keep looking.
We diagnose the issue with our WATERMAKER and have a part in transit. In the meantime, we're going back and forth between the anchorage and the marina to replenish our water supply.
Nobody's going port to port here?
I got it.
Here?
We made use of going later in the day after hours to finally give Jibsea a nice shower while on the dock. After we washed Jibsea down at the dock, we had more rain than we've seen
all season. We had a really good rainfall yesterday and then a heavy one overnight. So the boat has gotten a nice freshwater rinse, long overdue. And things are looking up because we are now in possession of dun, 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 this bad boy, which is our high pressure pump for our WATERMAKER system. We have a SeaWaterPro water maker, and it is absolutely amazing. We use it every 3 days. It's one of the most important pieces of equipment that we have to be able to live on anchor and cruise to remote places and just be more self-sustainable. One of the main reasons why we chose a SeaWaterPro water maker is because it's comprised of non-proprietary parts. So we can get this pump from online elsewhere if it was more convenient, but honestly for us, dealing with Mike, the owner there, he is absolutely amazing. Him and his team have the utmost best customer service, and I bet you any of his customers can attest to that because he literally drops whatever he's doing. It was like a Friday when we contacted him. He was like, send me a video, show me the problem, let's diagnose the issue. And he's like, yep, that's exactly what the issue was. We'll have the pump sent out to you stat. We had a friend coming like in a few days, and we really wanted to have him bring it over to us because obviously like we're at anchor, we don't have an address, it's just a whole thing. So he got it over to our friend right away. We have it in our hands now, and we couldn't be more happy that we will be back on our way, hopefully within the next half hour. We will be back on our way making water again and just feeling a lot more free because honestly it was just weighing on our shoulders day in and day out, like how much water do we have? Can we go anywhere? We have to stay.
Pretty straightforward to switch out. This goes onto the motor and it's just attached by 4 bolts. And then you have your quick release for your raw water and then your high pressure hose right there, and that's about it. So hopefully this goes nice and smooth. I just have to squeeze down into the depths of our locker here and get her installed. Alright guys, pulled the pump out, put the new one in, and yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Like I said, I struggled a little bit to get my hands into the bolts here, but that's just where I've installed. But yeah, 4 bolts, high pressure side, low pressure side, and that's it. I'm pretty sure the problem lies within one of these valves. They're like these plastic little valves, and sometimes they can split, and then you'll lose the pressure. So I've got the new one in there now. Well, let's go turn her on and see how she does. We got the boost pump, now high pressure pump. Let's see if it works. So far so good.
No funny sounds.
Wicked. Sounds how it should. I'm just going to pressurize it up. I don't always run it straight to 800. I run it at like 400 for a little bit, and then I'll run it at 600 and make sure all the air bubbles are out of the water gauge and make sure it's nice and clean before I pressure it up to 800, just to be safe.
Woohoo! We've got water! Before directing the water into our tank, we have a valve directing it into our sink first until our TDS meter reads a safe level to drink after a few minutes. We're back in business and free to cruise around. We're putting our guest right to work, and we're showing him the best of boat life. If you're looking forward to the fun we have in store, give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you next week.